Alright, this is the video after the first interaction with my fellow peer here at MSU, Caleb. He's from Brazil. To kind of get things started, our typical day, he'd start at 7, I would start at 7:30. He would end at 1, I would end at 2:30. But my classes were only 48 minutes as compared to him. They were an hour, and some days he would even get to go home at 11, just the way that his classes would work. Some days they would even cancel class. It's almost more like a college setting a little bit, in a sense. That's what he told me. Um, Also, there, high school is only 3 years long as compared to here it's 4. That is because ninth grade is seen as a middle school grade there, and here it's viewed as freshman year of high school. Another thing that he said was different is that here is a 1 to 100 scale that we get on like a test or a quiz or even assignment. You get like an 85 on a quiz or something like that. But in Brazil, you'd get an 8.5, which is the same thing. But I just thought it was neat that it was instead of out of hundreds, it was tens, and then on the 1 through 10 scale. Another thing is my graduating class was 362, so it was you're ranked 1 through 362. But in Brazil, he had 150 kids total in his grade. But within that, they would get divided up into 5 groups of 30, and then each group of 30 was considered your class. And in his class, which I thought was absolutely astounding, he was top 3, but his GPA was a 3.6. And if you're obviously familiar with the way the American education system works, a 3.6 is kind of low, considering the bright students we have. I mean, for example, like I graduated with a 3.8, but the highest kid in my class was like a 4.4. So that just proved that just right off the bat to me that kind of showed that Brazil was maybe tougher in the curriculum, and maybe they did. He said especially they focused more on reading, and obviously here it's on the ACT. But I definitely noticed in high school I did not read nearly as much as I should have, and as showed so far, I've gotten nailed on a couple quizzes and stuff because of the reading. Now the three things of the worriness and happiness. For him, he was worried he wasn't going to get accepted in the best school in Brazil. Back again to the GPA, he wasn't sure if the 3.6 was going to cut it to get to a school in the United States, so that was also another worry. He's also worried about what he was going to do with his life, what his major was. Kind of like similar to me. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And yeah, it was kind of the same thing as me. I was worried about getting just accepted into MSU. Obviously, my parents went here, so I wanted to continue that tradition. So that was, I knew I was going to go here, but it was just big for me, and it's an honor to continue that tradition for my family. So then happiness, we had the same things across the board. We were happy because we played sports. We were happy because our friend groups were involved in sports, so they kind of pushed us. So I guess that motivational factor. And another thing was just doing well for our families. And I guess the one thing he noticed here is that, with the exception of me, he said not many people in the United States value their time with their family and take it for granted. And that kind of struck me a little bit, and I put it into perspective, and I kind of thought, like, yeah, I kind of agree with you actually, because I have some friends that they get annoyed when their mom or dad tries to talk to them on the phone for maybe just 10 minutes or so out of their day, and it's such a drag to just answer the phone and talk to your mom. But like for me and him, I mean, I love talking to my mom. I'm 4.5 hours away from home, and I cherish every minute I can to talk to her because I don't know the next time I'll see her. And obviously for him, with being so far away from his family, obviously it means a ton to him. Um, in terms of the big tests, we were the polar opposites. And high school, even big tests, I was studying probably a week early. I was getting prepared for it. I was trying my best. I was mapping out certain times every day that I could study for this test. But he said he was the biggest procrastinator ever. He wouldn't study till the night before, and often the night before he wouldn't start studying until maybe like 12 or 1 in the morning. And he obviously, if his day starts at 7, that's less than 7 hours of sleep, and you study for 4 hours, that's maybe 2 hours of sleep. So he said obviously he had trouble sleeping a lot just because of that. And yeah, and then to finish it off, kind of what my reaction to this interaction, it was just I kind of have a new viewpoint in the United States now and what they value on education, and I think it's kind of soft. Um, Obviously, he said they focused more on the writing and reading aspect, and that isn't as big of an indicator as how you are as a student, but it just it kind of shows. I mean, he was using words that in his description, I don't remember what they were, but I just something in my head. It amazes me how intellectually, I don't know what the word is, more intellectual, I guess, I don't know. But they're more intellectual than us. They seem to have a bigger grasp on the little things in life. I mean, they, especially as an international student, they take everything. They jump on every opportunity they can get. They enjoy their time with their family. If it's a risk, they can't go out one night, and they have to stay in and study. They do that. But here in the United States, if you have an exam, I know some kids, especially last year, I had some friends who would just they would go out on a Thursday night just because it started the college weekend, but then they'd have an exam on the next day, and they would do absolutely horrific, and they would be like, "Oh, why did I do bad?" And that's just overall as a whole just shows how, especially in my generation, I'd say is that we just don't value our education enough, and we take it for granted, and it's kind of a shame because I had some really good friends in high school who were really good at school, but now at college just they're about to flunk out, and it's because they always are out partying and stuff. They don't value their education, and it's just it's a shame. And I really hope that in the next couple of years, maybe the United States can do something to help out with that. And yeah, overall interaction was fun. I hope he had fun, and the next interaction I'll probably take him to a football game because I'm the cultural host.